Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of HCTalk. As always, I'm your host, Lance Gormley. Our guest on the program today is Jason Palmer, who is the GM or General Manager from Back Alley Pizza. How are you doing today, Jason?
Doing fine. Thanks for having me, Lance.
Yeah, thanks for coming out on the program. As anybody knows, I really enjoy having business owners, organizational leaders, just people that are really doing some amazing things in our community. And when I heard that you guys were getting ready to come up on your 10-year anniversary, I thought, man, that is a milestone. There's so many things that make that possible. There's so many things you have to do in the background to make that possible, and I don't want it just to go over people's heads, right? 10 years is a milestone, and so I just wanted to have you come out for people to hear, who don't know you, more about your life, where you came from, your past history, the whole thing, and then where we are today with Back Alley at 10 years, and then obviously what maybe the future might hold for y'all.
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay, so I guess we always start the program with where you hail from, what'd you do in school, what were your extracurricular activities, did you go to college, did you not go to college, choices behind that. So Are you a lifelong Newtonian, born and raised? Is that
raised Newton, technically born in Wichita. I got four siblings. The youngest was born here in Newton. So I mean, we're Newton rooted for
Newtonians.
Sure. So we would have moved here. Oh goodness. Yeah. I mean, over 25 years ago now. So, I mean, it's certainly all of us, what our kids, the kids know. But yeah, we grew up here in Newton. We all graduated from the high school. I played baseball growing up. That was my first love in life, I say.
Yeah.
I had an injury to my back, had a sledding deal when I was younger, and it finally caught up to me. And as I got into high school and picked up the guitar and fell in love with music and playing, and singing, especially in church settings. And so that shaped my life for a long time there. And went off to college. That's where I met my wife, Abby. We've been married over 9 years now. We've got 4 kids. So it's been a good ride. But yeah, we went to school. My wife studied music. I studied Christian ministry, did a music minor. And then, went off to seminary and I've done some ministry work. And then Dad asked more than once if I would come help run the shop at one point. And I told him no the first 2 times and finally said yes. And so that's what I've been doing the last 3.5 years. So that's the very brief version of how we got to where we are here.
Okay, so you're just to back you up, because I want to get a little more detail from you, because you've piqued my interest, especially when you said you went into ministry and whatnot, and that's something that I truly believe that's not something people just do. Right. It's not like, hey, I want to go be a minister. That sounds like a great profession. I mean, it requires a high level of integrity and character and the whole thing. So you're at high school. I guess to that point in time, to pick your brain or take you back to that point in time, you decided, before you left Newton, that in high school that you felt a calling to go into the ministry. And then from there, what made you decide where you were going to go? No, coming out of high school, I was still very much leaning into teaching. That kind of just fit some of my personality. My mom has a background in elementary ed, and so that's what I thought. And I just thought that I would serve churches that I was a part of through music. That's kind of where my heart laid. But during college, I chose the college I went to partly because I thought I was going to play baseball there. Ended up choosing not to. And then their music program had a strong, we might say, contemporary music scene. Okay. So not just traditional music, but there were rock bands and jazz bands, and I was like, I can study in this setting. I knew my limitations. Rock and roll Christian. Is that what you're saying? I love it.
And so. That's why I went there. But it was during that time there, studying music and ministry, I started to step away. I guess before I got on campus, I kind of stepped away from the teaching idea. And then during college, it became real clear, not just serving through music, but pastor or minister was what I felt called to. And so finished college, and then my wife finished the next year, and then we went off to seminary outside Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Wow. That's outside as in a small suburb, or basically attached to Pittsburgh?
Down the river from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
If you know how
Pittsburgh's set up. The three rivers meet in Pittsburgh, and so we were down the river. We were 30 minutes from the heart of Pittsburgh. There's some towns, post steel industry out there that have never really quite bounced back. And so it's about 30 minutes down the river from Pittsburgh, and it was a community that just has never quite bounced back. Now, it's been how many years since I was there? A lot can change in 5-7 years. So I don't know the current state, but even at the time, it's still kind of worn down. They've got a few highlights there. We'd had some restaurants we enjoyed visiting, and worked at a warehouse there, and some good people there. So like any community, there's always bright spots if you're willing to look and keep an open mind to that.
It's always the people. When
Right.
you think about it, if you take your focus on what does this community have to offer me in amenities or those are important things. Obviously, can I get a job here? Can I make money? Can I sustain a family or whatever?
Right.
But in a lot of ways, I've found that people are most content when they invest in people. And
Right.
they want to be part of the community. There's always highlights there because there's some amazing people everywhere you go.
Right.
So I guess just for the audience and myself, understanding briefly, seminary and college are not necessarily married together. Like you go to college, you get an education, and then you choose to go to seminary. Is that
Right.
is that pretty much all cases, or just some cases, or are you? I mean, is that something that's normal? You go to college, and then once you go to college, then you go to seminary.
Yeah, it's going to depend a bit on kind of the churches you have a relationship with and what their expectations are. Some are satisfied with education at the bachelor's level, and maybe there's other requirements or expectations or even just desirables. But for others, seminary is pretty standard. For me, it was one of those situations where coming out of college, not in a bad way, but I had more questions than when I'd come in. And so I was like, I think I got to keep digging and keep, exploring and just having that environment, an academic environment. But the particular seminary I went to had a good formational foundation as well. So,
Can I ask where you went to seminary?
yeah. So now it's called Trinity Anglican Seminary.
Okay.
And so I have found that in Newton, not many folks are familiar with the Anglican tradition. If you know a little bit of church history, the Reformation, of course, starts with Martin Luther in Germany. The so-called Anglican tradition is going to be the Reformation coming out of England, basically.
Okay, very cool.
So that's where we went and had a wonderful experience there. We actually had our oldest while we were out there, and because I didn't know how to get a job kind of outside the church.
Right.
So we had our first, and my wife went from, I want to go back to managing this coffee bar full time. Montgomery is her name, was born, and she goes, I only want to go back to work part time. I said, that's fine, we can make that work. Yeah. And then when she had to go back to work, she's like, I really don't want to go back to work.
Yeah. Now that I've been there and done that, I was
like, well, you have to. We don't have a choice right now, but we can start working on changing that.
Yeah.
And so we actually ended up couldn't figure anything out there. Some of that was just my lack of knowledge when it came to job searching and things like that. But we ended up there was a church in Emporia with the denomination we were a part of at the time, Emporia, Kansas. And so we were reached back and moved to Emporia. We were there for a couple of years. That's where we were when COVID happened. And we had 2 more kids while we were there, and finished seminary from a distance. And then so part of coming to Newton was actually I was appointed as associate pastor of a church in the area, but that didn't work out after a few months. And so part of the plan was to end up pastoring there, and so Back Alley was kind of a stepping stone, actually. So this is a part of the story a lot of folks don't know. Like, the plan was 1 year and done, or close to it. And so that didn't pan out. And so I was like, all right, well, we'll settle into the pizza shop here. My wife and I made some other church-related decisions and wanted to explore some things. And so we've been running the shop and investing in that. And the goal is to get back into ministry. I've got some new connections, going to be traveling out of state a couple of times this year to meet with some folks and whatnot. So, that's still where my heart lies. Back Alley Pizza can be energizing, and I've enjoyed projects and teams there, but that is still my heart's desire and long-term, what we're looking for. But in the meantime, it's been it's been all pizza.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this. I'm always looking for, in my life, I'm a man of faith as well. So when I say, that I'm going in this direction, my heart's leading me in this direction, and then it doesn't necessarily go the way that I wanted it to go, but that leads to this next step, which then leads to this next step. And then I look back and I'm like, wow, these next steps, I'm not going to say failure, but when something doesn't work out the way we want it to work out, that doesn't mean that that's not part of God's plan and design for our life, right?
Right.
It's just part of the process. Then comes in faith, right? To be able to trust that God has, we're not going all faith here, okay? But that God has a plan and a purpose for your life. And so then you walk out in faith. If it's not something that happens down the road, and then you're able to look back and be like, man, God really had me through all this, and who knows what he prevented in the way of bad things for you. Sometimes it's best that we don't get what we want. Okay. So anyway, I won't go there, but I just being sitting here listening to you and what you're saying, you'd mentioned earlier just that, getting the job outside of a ministry was difficult, and then you came to Emporia, right? You finished from afar, of course COVID happened, catastrophe for everybody, and then now you found yourself back here in Newton doing what you're doing. Do you see divine providence there?
Some days. Okay. Other days it's harder to see. The reality is, if you don't mind me transitioning a little bit to the shop, like the reality is, so Norm's Coffee Bar on Main Street, right? Run by So Shine Foundation, the Lakeys. My dad started that in the building that Back Alley's in 2011. And the idea is not all that different than what, So Shine and the Lakeys are doing now. I think Ashley has just spelled it out. Coffee Connection Community. That's what they do. That was my dad's original vision. I don't want to collapse the two, but in broad strokes, that's what the vision was. It was a third space, some might call it, allowing people to come and enjoy coffee, or great coffee, and connect with people. And I think it did that. The coffee spaces can be tough, so Dad needed to flesh out food, but he wanted to do brick oven pizza. He's like, I don't want to do what everyone else does. I want to do something different. And so he starts working on that, and there's a whole story about how we get to that point, but opens up and starts making pizzas, and it goes really well to the point where it made sense just to stay focused on the pizza. Yeah. So in 2017, sells Norms to the So Shine Foundation, and now we're just pizza. But that original vision of connection, of community, now sometimes we talk in terms of memories, certainly experiences, right? Is still driven by that, our family's faith of providing a positive environment, of providing good experiences, both for guests that come in and want pizza, both also for employees.
Yeah.
A lot of them, it's their first job. Yeah. And so it's not something that we are always the most overt about. I post on social media, and it's not something I post on, but that's a heartbeat. You work long enough for me, you're going to notice, okay, they're serious about church or faith or religion. But we operate from that. It's rooted in who we are and our story and how we do business, And so I think that's something that, for folks who don't know my dad, who don't know me or our family, especially over 10 years now, we certainly don't want that to be lost. That it's our love for God and our love for our neighbors that drives what we do.
Yeah. Well, a couple things are coming to mind, as far as ministry. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to say it. It doesn't matter what you're doing. That is an opportunity for you to live out your ministry in the lives of people. And you said coffee, connection, community. I'm thinking pizza, connection, community, because that's a great atmosphere. You all have a very unique business, right? You can't go everywhere and get a brick oven fired pizza, right? You can't, and I got to admit, some of the best pizza in our community, and I got to say, from the surrounding area of a region, right? You guys are a go-to place because the atmosphere is good. You guys are always hopping. There's always people in there, but it's a large enough space where it can house quite a few people at a time.
Right.
It's not like you're going to go in there and be completely, here's your hour wait, or anything
Right.
like that. But I found it in my personal life to be a very wholesome community, or a wholesome business. I can go in there with my family. There's community members there I can talk to. Every time I go in there, there's somebody there that I know.
Right.
So I guess just taking it sideward here, and to people that are listening, your opinion, can making pizzas, making connection, and building community be a ministry?
Yeah, I mean, you can get into linguistics of what that means, but if ministry is serving people, maybe at its most basic element, or even serving God, by serving other people, certainly, it's not the same as pastoral ministry.
Correct.
Right? Managing a business and pastoring or shepherding a church require a different skill set. They require different tools. They just do. But of course, the heart's intent matters, and the means and the ends must align, right? So how we do business, how we treat our employees, needs to be consistent with our values, and I'll add this. I don't know. We can cut this if we need to. Our society tries to trivialize values and keep them in homes and private, and it's just not how relationships work. The media that you put out, politics, polis is Greek for city. It's of the city. It's of us. Like, we have to hash things out, and sometimes it's just hard, and that's okay. I think regardless of what your listeners think of the things that are shared, I lost my train of thought. Dang, my wife's not here to
keep you in line.
Bring it back.
And I'm just going to tell you, I was hooked, man. I am not cutting this out. You think, no, absolutely. This is genuine, and I appreciate it, man. I what you're saying, I'm consuming it, man. I am just going to tell you right now, you had me.
Yeah. and some of my other close friends too, I can just look at. And actually, some of my team I've worked with long enough. I mean, I've been there 3.5 years. I got a few team members now that I can kind of be like, what was going on? They're like, this is what we're doing. I'm like, thank you. It just happens. It's happened for a long time. I'm a little nervous when I get older. Like, oh man, this is my poor wife. She's wonderful. But you just can't operate a business without your values. We can't do it. You just can't. The idea is nice, but it literally doesn't work out that way. So whether you're talking politics, whether you're talking business, whether you're talking religion, those values matter. And, there are people who have done good thinking over the years, Christian or not, that are worth engaging with. And also, not all ideas are equal. We've tried things at Back Alley. Some of them are good. Some of them, okay, let's not do that. Why? Because not all things are equal, and that's okay too. And that's hard. And we try and collapse everything. It's like, we can't do that. Not all things are equal at Back Alley. The most important thing at Back Alley Pizza is the pizza.
Yeah.
First things first.
Yeah.
Right? We've got shift managers, right? And sometimes I run shifts. And we're there to make sure customers leave happy. Well, that starts first with the pizza. We get slammed on a Friday, Saturday night. We like to connect with customers, in different ways. We don't have a wait staff, but there are different ways we can connect. But the reality is we got to get the pizzas out. So prioritization, right? So I think some of those ideas are really important. So when I talk about faith in business, everyone operates their home or their life according to a certain set of things, and we do ours, and we try and be faithful. And I think by and large we have been, and that's just part of the story,
Yeah.
When you show up tomorrow for pizza, nope, today's Saturday. Don't show up tomorrow.
Saturday, not tomorrow.
At least when we're shooting this. I don't know what's getting released. When you show up next time for pizza, it's going to be all about pizza.
Yeah.
And that's what we do.
Yeah. Okay. So for people that are listening that are hearing the story of Back Alley Pizza, I don't know how much detail you want to go into, how far you want to rest on it. You've covered a little bit, but what's kind of the history of Back Alley? I mean, you were around for that, right? When that first got started, I'm sure there was some nervousness there about, well, will this be successful? Will people support my business? I'm sure there's all of that, right?
Yeah.
That comes into it, especially with doing something new. Can you just give a brief overview of, Back Alley Pizza was started now, this is what it evolved, this is when we sold our 1,000th pizza or, type of a thing.
Yeah, I can do that. So I left for out of state, as I mentioned earlier, shortly after Back Alley opened. But I do know the highlights. If you want the details of those early years, that is largely my dad's story to tell, Robert Palmer. Some of you listening will know him. But in terms of the highlights, so summer of 2014, they leased a brick oven out of Wichita and started taking it different places, having gatherings at the house, and just trying to make pizzas. So, there was a long process there. We opened March 7, 2015, hence our 10-year coming up. And the original concept, I'm curious how many people know this or remember this. There was only 8 pizzas. There was no customization. If I remember correctly, you couldn't add to a pizza, but you could take away. And then there was no soda fountain. It was all bottled sodas. That was the original concept. And so if you walk in and look at our menu now, like there's an evolution there, right? There's a development.
Quite a large one, if that's what you're saying. You went from 8, right? Standard, and now you can go in there and there's all kinds of... Yeah. So the soda fountain, Dad couldn't stay away from that. He had to bring that in, and then, frankly, people didn't buy bottles, so eventually the bottles went away. But yeah, the customization was huge. I mean, you can come in and get a 10-inch pizza and do whatever you want with it, basically. We have a few things you can't do because we still got to be able to cook the pizza well, and we have found over the years that there are certain things, if we do that, we can't really get you a good product. So there's a few guardrails, but by and large, I mean, you can customize the thing pretty heavily. So that happened. Sold Norms to Socialshine in 2017. We just had KSN. We were just on Good Day Kansas, but they came out in 2020. My dad did it. That was August 2020, so that was masked up still and everything. So there's just been an evolutionary process. COVID was difficult. I came in June 2021, so I have dealt with a lot of the after effects, but I wasn't there kind of during that peak moment. But I know it was super hard. It was super hard on the family, super hard on my dad. We're all kind of tired of 2020 being a point of reference in our story timelines, but well, it derailed everybody, just so you know. There wasn't anybody, especially a business that serves people, that became like, here's your roadblock, bam. And from there is, how do I navigate this and stay in business? I mean, for all of us, it's almost like or I want to call it like a major event. It was just a major life-changing event for everybody, whether we want to accept that or not. It was.
So early on, Dad will tell you that it was 12:30. And like, there's nobody in the shop, and he's wondering what the future holds. Like that's what ended up happening on the outset. But if you remember, Lance, you very well do. Some of the businesses, some key community leaders went out and bought a bunch of gift cards and started giving out gift cards, and that kind of started getting the ball rolling a little bit. Started getting people back in the door, started getting people out to support business, including local business. So I got through that, and really actually 2021. So, part of what we're doing next week with giveaways and promotionals is just to say thank you. Like these aren't things we normally do, but we really just want to just say thank you in fun ways, in ways that, just fun.
Yeah.
But 2021 is, as kind of those last restrictions came up, I mean, Newton and the surrounding area just poured in on 2021. It was a lot of fun. We made a lot of pizzas. We made a lot of pizzas that year. And so we're grateful for Newton's support outside of Newton. I mean, I feel like half the time when I connect with a customer at the shop right now, they're not from Newton. A lot of people coming in from out of town, and I don't know if there's other places driving that foot traffic too. On the restaurant scene, Genova's gotten a lot of attention and does good work. So we're big fans of Rosie and her work over there. But yeah.
It's it's just as I'm listening and I hear you talk about that time. I can only imagine how, and rewarding might not be the word I'm looking for, but I think people understand the interpretation of what I'm saying when I say rewarding. But for you all to endeavor to serve the community in this way, I'll just call it, I don't know if should say it this again and again, but I just got to keep hammering this: pizza, connection, community, right?
Right.
And then there's this huge roadblock that comes in early on in the business, really, relatively. And then from there, to know that your community saw how you supported them and then turned around to support you. It's almost like one of those God things again, right? The care of community for one another. You're getting to this point, struggling, maybe thinking, man, I don't know how this is going to work. Yeah. And then all of a sudden the floodgates open and there's this avenue that's been created for people in the community to just love all over you guys, support you, figure out a creative way to support you. Whether that was, I don't know, maybe you guys were making pizzas and running them out to cars and handing the boxes out to people. I don't know how all that affected your individual business, but it was a business killer, man. I mean, for a lot of people.
Well, and it exposed things too. Like even if you survived, you go, okay, we really need to shore these things up, ensure our operations or whatever the case may be are tight. But there were a lot of those adjustments made. I think there was curbside. There was, moving out tables and chairs, as seating started coming back, there were limitations on that. And so rolling all that out. And my dad did a really great job posting online and keeping people aware of what's going on, and that communication is really important. But we're super grateful for Newton and they keep showing up. Like you said, I mean, lunches are always steady. It's odd for a pizzeria to have lunches that are busier than dinners, but certainly at the beginning of the week, that's pretty common for us. Like lunch just keeps coming. And part of Dad's original vision was just being able to make great pizzas, amazing pizzas, as we say, and then, getting out fast. I mean, early on, everything was trying to keep it under 10 minutes, and a lot of my work has been operational, streamlining, improving efficiencies and just the whole operational system. And so it's now we make this many more pizzas than we used to. So how do we make sure we keep getting those pizzas out fast, at the same quality? So we keep making adjustments to bring that down, and it's gone really well. Since I've shared some of my background, I didn't have a business management, minimal restaurant experience. Like most folks, I've done a couple food-related jobs, but steep learning curve first 18 months. I've read everything, get my hands on, and trial and error and firsthand experience. And I continue to read. I'm a ferocious reader, but just always looking for ways to get better. Ongoing improvement, you might call it. Because we want to take better care of our community. We want to take better care of the people that make pizzas, with and for us. And so that's really become part of our heartbeat. Got some great team members that have bought in, and they're always like, hey, we could do this, or we could make this better, or hey, this isn't working. Sometimes it's what's not working. Like, how can we change this? And so to get a team like that, we could talk about the team forever. The team's great.
Yeah. So you're with a continuous improvement guy coming in, right? Yeah. Which is kind of was another thing I think is interesting that you mentioned just here a few seconds ago, really, about employees and their desire to make the process better, make the product better.
Yeah.
You don't get that everywhere. There is situations where employees will say, well, that's the way it's supposed to be made, so whether it comes out right, wrong, or indifferent, not my problem.
Right.
But instead, you have a culture that you've built there, and you have buy-in from your team members.
Right.
And from there, then they want to be part of the process in making the business better.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating. Look, we hire a bunch of high school students. I'm very well aware of our reputation for having a pretty young team. I got high school students that'll help make us better. I think every young generation gets knocked on for various things, right? Yeah. And some of it's fair, some of it may be overstated. I guess people got to talk about things, but
well, it's different than when I was growing up. That type of mentality, right?
Right.
Like something different, something new.
Well, and
but each generation has that.
The world's different than when you grew up.
Yeah.
Right. But here's
no, it's not. I want to hold on to the way it was.
Always a golden era in the past, right? Always a golden era. But the reality is, like, you set them up for success. You give them space to fail, and you say, "Look, I need you." Sometimes this can sound a little, I don't know what the word is, kind of like you're talking about animals or something, but you say, hey, look, like I need you to jump this high, and I'm going to help you jump this high. And like, guess what? A lot of the kids can jump that high. You just got to be willing to say, here's our high standard. Here's how you're going to reach it. Here's the repetitions. Here's the practice you need to get in to get there. And then before you know it, they're one of your best pizza makers. Now, on the one hand, it's just pizza. Like, I get that. We're just in the pizza bit. We just make pizzas, Lance. Like, it's not crazy. On the other hand, we recognize that, most of them are going to stay 5 years or more, right? They're going to move on. They're going to graduate. They're going to go to school. They're going to go get jobs. They're going to go pursue something that they think is part of their own calling, right? Yeah. And so what we're trying to do is not just teach them how to make pizzas, but help them learn how to think and how to approach situations. And communication is huge. It's like, look, you have to learn how to communicate for not just work's sake, but your own life's sake, and as you're navigating things. And you have to have hard conversations. Yeah. And guess what? Me as your boss, you can have a hard conversation with me. I'm not going to bite your head off. Yeah. Like, let's have that conversation, And so a lot of the development that we desire or want for all of our team members, especially those who are maybe on the younger side or first job or high school, is those intangible qualities, because those are the things that they can take with them wherever.
Yeah.
And then, oh, by the way, go buy a backyard oven and make pizzas. When you got your own place, because now you got a sweet block party you can throw.
We
right?
can franchise. We can franchise here. We can have a back alley pizza in every community in Kansas. You know this, right? If you prove the process,
this is true.
And these youngsters, and people that oftentimes, and I'm just thinking about another interview that I recently had about, which is yet to come out yet, but it's a coach, like put themselves in the position of a coach to be able to encourage, teach the skills, look for the blind spots. And that happens throughout our whole life. But what, something you alluded to is communication. So if at an early stage in your work development and what you're, hoping to get, you are providing a culture in which nurtures these individuals to be, proactive thinkers, motivated, encouraged, realizing that maybe they started not knowing how to do X, Y, or Z, but then confidence because now they're able to accomplish that, can set self-sustainable goals. Well, it took me this long before to do this, but now I can do it. Those are all very important things,
right?
And if you're, you focused in on a culture there, and I think that the life's lessons that can be learned from the people that choose to go and put in that application and want to work for you all can know that it is a positive environment where I'm going to learn a lot, and this is going to be valuable skills that I can take forward with me in my life. So you mentioned that you're coming up on 10 years.
Yes.
March 7th. Is that
March
what you
7th.
said?
We're
March
celebrating
7th.
all week.
Okay.
But yes, March 7th.
Yeah, I need to get this out quick. But okay, so you're coming up on 10 years. Like I said, that's a huge milestone. Just really speaks a testament to you're not the only business in the community that's been around 10 years, but still for saying, sure. For you as individually, 10 years is a milestone for any company, yes. And anybody listening to this that's hit that milestone knows that's a huge deal.
Yes.
So what kind of things, because I heard you were doing some things.
Yes.
I'm thinking maybe I could get in there and get a free pizza sometime, or what do I need to do? When do I need to go? But what kind of things are you all doing to celebrate 10 years?
Yeah, so we're doing something every day. So Tuesday, so that's going to be March 4th. If you order 4 more pizzas, we'll give you free alley bread. So trying to take care of groups. Wednesday, buy a pizza, get a free soda. Thursday, buy a pizza, get a free cookie. Now we have our normal cookies out front, but we're getting a smaller cookie so we can make them easier on a large scale. But we'll give out cookies, for each pizza bot. And those giveaways, Performance Food Service is our main food supplier. They're helping make happen the alley bread day and the cookie day. And then Heartland Coca-Cola is helping make the free soda day happen. So we appreciate them. We try really hard to develop good relationships with our suppliers. Not always easy, but something we try and put effort into. Friday, so we have a new t-shirt coming out, and so we're going to be giving away some of those t-shirts. So Friday, new t-shirts, they're pretty cool. So I think if you want a chance to get those, come in on Friday. And then Saturday, kind of like we've done in the past, we're going to have birthday cake out. People can have cake with us. And we'll put out some more decorations. We'll have decorations out all week, but then we'll put up some more on Saturday. We may actually have a couple other things we're going to do too, that are kind of falling into our lap. And so, we'll try and keep things up to date on social media, but it's all geared to just say thank you. Our model, we don't discount, we don't give things away a lot, but we just want to say thank you. So this coming week, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. No. So for anybody listening to this program, because this will be out and ready to roll, right? To be able to meet that timeline for you all, I think it's really important that we as community members celebrate that 10-year anniversary with you. And, you guys are likening it to a birthday, and being able to have cake, or I'm going to try to get in there and get a free shirt if I can.
There you go.
How can I sport it on the program? But it's you mentioned not necessarily just giving away things or whatever, but really you are, right? And not only that, but these type of things. You probably already know this, but I'm here to confirm that just reaching out to the community, asking for them to celebrate with you, because it's goes back to pizza community connection, right? Or connection community. It's all about reaching out and being a part of something, a business in their community. So I'm actually really excited about that. I might not get in there every single day, but this coming week I will definitely make sure. I just was in there. Oh, what was it? Thursday, I believe. Took my little one in there and had a pizza. And you guys aren't too far from my house, So I love the location. It's downtown. It's helping with downtown revitalization. There's all of that included, and I think anybody that's listening to us have this conversation right now knows that to be the case. And I'm just really hopeful that follow Back Alley Pizza on Facebook,
Instagram.
Yep. Do you have a TikTok yet?
We do have a TikTok.
Okay, or TikTok if you're a TikToker.
And guess what? One of my high school students, senior, she's been with us over 2 years. She's actually one who makes those videos.
I love it.
We've got them included. So yes, you can follow us on TikTok as well, Twitter as well. But I don't know that there's a Twitter. Sorry. X. Yeah. I don't know that there's much of an X scene in Newton. So
the X scene can get awful spicy.
It has over the last couple years. I get that.
So, but all social media accounts still, But yeah, X
in their own way.
Seems like in particular, if it was my opinion, nothing against X, Twitter, all the same. No, Okay, so let's move on from that. I don't want to get into any trouble. So I guess Jason, what do you see for the future of Back Alley?
Yeah. So not everybody knows this, but we've got we own the building that we're in, and there's a whole mirror backspace. And so we've kind of just put it out for the first time that we are looking to build that out and turn it into an event space. And so that's going to become, I think, a really great contribution for the community to have a space that can be rented out for various things. And so that's going to take a little work, but we are trying to get the ball rolling on that. And so that's going to be something that I'll probably have my focus on here for a while. And, just trying to keep making pizzas.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're pulling a lot from outside Newton. So we're kind of going, okay, what kind of communication do we need to have with folks that are outside of Newton? And, just always looking to get better, so we can serve our community better, serve folks that come in and want pizza better, serve our team members better. So sometimes those changes don't necessarily show up out front, and sometimes they do. So as we keep trying to make things better and adjust to the times, you'll always see those things. But that's kind of our major project coming up.
Yeah, well, I'm excited for that. I'm excited in the direction you all are going, the vision that you have. I'm anticipating, of course, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to be a week from now, but as we've watched over the last 10 years, Back Alley evolve, I'm really excited for what the next 10 years will bring. And when we're looking back 10 years from now, we're old.
Yeah.
Because we're not quite old yet, but we're getting, I'm probably older than you, but just, as we get older and our kids grow older and our community, we've got a lot of wonderful things going on in our community. I'm really interested in seeing how your guys' footprint's going to grow. And how that's going to bring people to our community, because it's a wonderful amenity here. So just looking forward to the next 10 years.
Yeah,
next 10
so
years.
we're excited. Appreciate that,
Okay.
Lance.
So, we're kind of coming to the end of the program. And one thing, and I know you said you watched the program before, so hopefully you've thought about this question. But I always give people the last word. I want for the guests to have an opportunity from this platform to speak directly to the hearts and the minds of anybody listening. You can say whatever you want. It can be completely off topic. It can be something personal, something related to back alley, all in one. But I just want to give you opportunity to speak directly to anybody that's listening to this interview right now.
Yeah, I have heard you ask this question, but I didn't think about it beforehand. But I have heard you ask that. It is. So this is maybe not the best platform to say it, but I tell my team all the time, like, just put your screens down. I just put them down. Go do something else. Like, just about anything else, There's a place for it, I watch some of your programming, so I have a screen up when I watch it, or sometimes just listen, but just put them down. Try something else. I could go off a lot more on that, but set limits for yourself and then do something else. Engage with people around you. Get out and expand that if you need to. Try something different. Weather's warming up. Get out and walk. Or something. We've got different interests, so I'm not going to tell you what to do. Find something that interests you, but at some point you just got to step away and do something different. And so that connection and community, right? There's limitations on the screen, and face to face is really great. This is a great medium here, where we can talk and we're in person, and I just think doing that and is really great. I got 4 kids, and it's easy to be tired in between, work. We're open Tuesday through Saturday, so sometimes those 5 days get exhausting, but it's like, got to put down that phone when they go, "Hey, Dad," and pivot and let them know that you're there, that you connect with them, that their attention is not somewhere else in a screen that goes who knows where, So that's something I think, anyone, anywhere, but especially in my own hometown and community of Newton, like, just put the screen down, let's do something else, And I think life can be much more fruitful if we can all mature and figure out how to handle all this fascinating and impressive technology. But if we can all mature and figure out how to manage that, like, I think our community will be much, much better off.
Man, profound statement. See, I don't care what you say. That was spot on. I appreciate you, and thank you for that last word, 100%. I'd just like to thank everybody. Well, first, I want to change it up. I like to thank you for coming out on the program today and sharing your life with everybody, and sharing Back Alley Peach's story, and sharing, what you guys are doing in the future. I really do appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Appreciate that.
Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of HC Talk. As always, I was your host, Lance Gormley, and our guest on the program today was General Manager, also known as GM, Jason Palmer. Have a good one, everybody.